Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Dylan D and welcome back. Today we have the showcase and world download for Galactus Ultima, the updated, massive, infinitely expandable slime block super weapon. Changes include a bigger payload, less debris left over after impact so the following missiles don't stop when hitting the floating remains of the last wall, a wider and much more open walking platform, and lastly, all cruiser missiles have been scaled down to mini missiles to fit a fourth fireable wall. Stay tuned until the end of today's video, though, for updates and to see whose comment I picked for the question I asked everyone at the end of last week's video. But you can also find the world download for Galactus Ultima in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to keep the channel going. But let's jump into today's video.
Right, so this is where you will spawn into your world for Galactus Ultima. Very simple. If you don't see it right away, definitely just look around. It'll be definitely very hard to miss. Galactus Ultima itself is actually three missiles wider on each side, giving it actually 20 missiles per row for 180 missiles per wall for a grand total of 720 fireable wall missiles. And then, of course, there's actually 46 additional missiles. That's actually all right there. This middle lock of missiles and all of that spiky top row there for a grand total of 766 launchable missiles on this box here. And it, of course, it is within a 64 block wide, 63 block long, and 64 block tall, 65 blocks wide, sorry, and 64 blocks tall dimension. In which, of course, it's definitely going to be my most insane creation by far. If you come in over to the side, you can actually tell as well that there is one additional wall of missiles built into Galactus Ultima. Its first part there, its predecessor, Galactus, only had 3 walls of missiles, all cruiser missiles, and in which, of course, it was the full cruiser missile, so the actual warhead piece of it, the top piece of it is actually over the 12, it's at the 12 block push limit, so anything that it would run into, it would blow up, it would just leave senseless amounts of debris all over the place in the sky. So to aid against that, I actually slimmed down the cruiser missile to a very tiny one, very small cruiser missile, in which, of course, the cruiser missile itself, when it blows up, it does leave a far, far, far less debris. I would honestly say about 80 to 90% of the debris from Galactus Ultima is actually like non-existent after you fire the first wall. First wall here, reason being is that half of the missile itself is still the endstone shield to prevent, obviously, if something were to hit Galactus from the front, it's in the explosion there isn't going to hit the rest of the missiles, etc. But from there, you can actually see that there is TNT on the second half of every one of the first missiles. This is to help aid the missile, the first wall, in actually exploding after it's made impact. Once the first wall is made impact, it does not ignite. It'll just sit there, just how the first Galactus does. But when the second wall comes in and blows up the first wall, that TNT on the back of the missile kind of gives it some help to clear out all the debris. But yeah, enough talk in there. Let's go ahead and start getting to it. Real quick as well, all you actually have to do is come into the front of Galactus. You may have to build up on some sand if you choose to play this in survival, I guess, at any given point. But you want to come up into this area here. As you can see, as I was even showing off in the intro there, that this area is much, much more bigger there, much more spacious, easier to move and actually jump, actually move about this walkway. So to come back here, we're actually using fire charges. The flint and steel is just for show. The fire charges are going to be how we update the machines from now on, in which, of course, coming back this way, you can see this giant just wall. It's just this long line of missiles all the way up with redstone blocks. This is kind of like a lock. We have to launch these missiles first before the entire machine is able to launch any of the other missiles. So from there, without further ado, we're going to come over to this piston. You can see it from this angle. All you do is actually place a redstone block next to it. And then, as you can see, once you remove the redstone block, it's going to fire off just that one missile. So we're going to go ahead and take our fire charges, and we're going to come up to this sticky piston and update it once. As you can see, that's going to update that entire line of missiles, sending it off. That actually removes a redstone block, making it all of those missiles launch off. But as you can see now, Galactus is unlocked. So now what we'll be able to do is launch all of the rest of the missiles now that that whole row of missiles is out of the way. Coming back in here, we'll go ahead and drop back down to ground level. As you can see, coming back to ground level, you can look all the way up Galactus and you can see all of these extended pistons. What we've just done is we have primed the first wall of TNT missiles to launch off of Galactus, in which the only easy way, the only way to launch it off is to take one full step with Galactus. Galactus does have a manual engine, so it will only take one step every time you update it, in which I'm going to go ahead and back up after I update it as well. It's the best way to reduce the lag and actually get out of the machine so you can see what's happening. So I'm going to update this once, back up as fast as I can. Perfect. And then we're going to come all the way back up to the top, and you can see Galactus is going to take that full step forward, and then as soon as it does, that entire first wall of missiles is just going to fire off. Now from there, just to show you that there's no like time skips or anything, and that everything does work properly, I'm going to go ahead and first upload load the chunks properly here to actually make it look pretty nice, so we can see what we're looking at. And once it does that, I'm going to go ahead and time lapse that wall hitting the glass block there for you, and then we'll continue from there. All right, so now as you can see there, the missile wall has actually stopped. None of the missiles have ignited, so obviously this entire wall will have pushed any slime block machine over any of its segments 12 block push limits, absolutely just massacring and destroying the machine from ever being able to do anything. Now, of course, though, that is not the end. Obviously, Galactus and any machine on my channel obviously always has to be overkill. So what we'll actually go ahead and do is come back into the machine and launch off the second wall. Okay, so coming back down into the machine with our fire charges in hand, we're going to go ahead and locate the next wall of missiles. Very hard to miss. As you can see, right here is the next wall. You can actually divide the walls by this little drop-down mechanism that actually places all of the pistons into place per little row of missiles there. In which you can say, now that there's nothing in front of it, you can come back, and obviously that was the first drop-down. This one here is going to be the next updated piston placer, I guess you could call it there, in which you can actually do these all individually. You do not have to fire entire walls of missiles at once, in which what you want to do to just fire one at a time is you can come up to these downward facing sticky pistons and update them with your fire charge. And as you can see, it's just going to go ahead and lock all of those pistons into place immediately. It's an instant update all the way down the machine. It is instant updates. And I'll go ahead and show that again. As you can tell, it's just going to go ahead and lock those pistons into place. Now you can do this all the way up the machine at any given point. And it's just going to go ahead and only prime that section, or you can obviously prime the entire thing at once. Now, to fire an entire wall of Galactus, it is very simple. You'll come back, obviously, to the next primable wall. So obviously, you don't want to prime the wall behind it. You don't want to prime all the walls at once and then try and fire it. They're just going to run into each other and blow up, considering there's only one piston, like right there, between all of those missiles. You'd think it would work, wish it would work, it'd be really cool, but it doesn't, unfortunately. In which, coming in here, what you want to do is you want to locate the all these like these spinal columns. So obviously if you do anything here, it's just going to update that. But if you do see, there is a backwards facing sticky piston here, and if you look up, it's almost like a spinal column. There's a redstone block above it. It's just a bunch of caterpillar engines over and over and over all the way up. What you can do is you can actually update that sticky piston. And as you can see, it just primed that entire wall instantly to launch everything. So what we're going to go ahead and do is launch that second wall, and we're going to finally clear all of that debris out there so we can finally see how much damage this thing can cause. So coming back to the engine, I'm pretty sure we haven't fixed the middle, so you want to update it once. And that's actually going to recenter that middle leg piece there. The way you can tell is that this missile here will actually be back one block. And then, of course, once you update it that one time, it'll put that whole segment back into place, priming it. So all you have to do is come back and update the engine one last time. And it's going to fire that whole second wall of missiles. Oh, goodness. Hope the lag isn't destroying the sound quality too bad. I have been experiencing a lot of sound quality issues with the lag with the computer with 1.13. But yeah, no worries. We'll definitely get that going. As I did with the first wall, I'm going to go ahead and just time lapse this wall connecting with that one after we load up these chunks properly here so it doesn't look kind of silly. So yeah, once we do that, we're just going to go ahead and time lapse this and then we'll go from there. All right, and now as you can see, there's going to be quite a bit of debris there, but honestly, that much debris left from 2 walls of missiles exploding is actually really good, in which I'll go ahead and actually demonstrate that. So this is going to be 2 walls of damage, obviously. Pretty all right, not like obviously really crazy or anything like that. But coming back in, I'll even throw in a couple more clips though at the end, obviously, of how much damage the actual machines really did. But coming back in, we're going to go ahead and launch the 3rd wall now, so you can actually see how much debris is left over. Obviously, again, because each of those mini cruiser missiles, the end block is far from, I think it's like 6 blocks away from its actual 12 block push limit, the actual tip of each of the cruiser missiles. So it's actually going to pick up all of these like leftover endstone blocks or like redstone blocks that you see there and just take them with all the way into the glass. And even if TNT hits these redstone blocks, it's pretty cool. It like kind of just bounces off the missiles as they come in and just sends the TNT further forward. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate that. Back in this way, we're going to use our old technique, how we just did there, to find the next fireable wall. This one's a little bit different. That's why I am showing each individual wall, is just to actually fit all of this, all of these machines into all of this tech into this one little tiny area. Definitely took a lot of effort. So some of them, of course, obviously this one's going to be back a little bit further. You have to update it to move it forward. But this is how it should look. You can see the spinal column all the way up is directly where it should be in regards to this endstone being connected to the updatable sticky piston to prime the whole row here. In which, though, very simple, you can still do the same thing, any wall, you can just launch a segment out of it. If you wish, just go ahead and prime that one little area, everything else will stay the same. But this one's actually going to be pretty cool. I'll update it as we look up here so you actually see the update go all the way up the machine. Again, here is the backwards facing sticky piston, and there is your redstone blocks, your caterpillars over and over all the way up, so you can tell where to update it. In which, yeah, just place your fire charge right here, your cursor, go ahead and just update it there. And as you can see, it'll go ahead and update all the way up the machine, priming, again, every missile all the way up. Coming back, we're going to go ahead and fix the middle, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate, just show you real quick as well. The middle here, again, it's back 1 block. We have to just update the engine once to correct that, and then 1 more time to fire that wall. So once, you'll hear it update, and then again, 1 more time. All right, so now that we have backed up through here, we're going to go ahead and just obviously watch this wall go ahead and connect here. Go ahead and back up to a good position though, and let the chunks load. Awesome, and then we're going to go ahead and just time lapse that real fast. All right, so yeah, coming in, watching that entire wall explode, you can see there is a significant more amount of damage now. It's actually going to go ahead and start eating through the wall there of glass. So from here, it's very simple. You can see that there's far less debris now as well. From there, we're going to go ahead and see how even much more debris we can get rid of by firing that last wall on Galactus. All right, so coming back in this way, as you can see, Galactus is looking pretty empty here. So we're going to go ahead and fire off the last wall of missiles. Coming back, you can see right here, obviously, same thing again. It's obviously very repetitive at this point. Same spinal column of Caterpillar engines all the way up, and you can even obviously update just individual engines if you do so wish. Obviously, that'll go ahead and fire off. It's just a piston. It's not going to take that or anything. You can do that, obviously, all the way up the machine, any which way that you want. But yeah, from there, of course, we're going to go ahead and you can update the entire thing all the way up again by fire charging right here. And as you can see, which I guess I haven't really shown too much of, that entire Caterpillar engine thing does move forward 1 block. And that is how it updates this. So as you can see back here, it's actually going to separate the column from the rest of the machine. In how it does that, obviously, it's just going to catch back up. The entire machine then takes 1 step forward and it all catches right back up to where it was. And since those pistons don't have redstone blocks underneath them, then they obviously don't get updated or move or do anything to mess up the machine. So yeah, very simply to fire off the last wall, if the middle... All right, yep, there. That was the one to reset the engine and then to click it in. Okay. And obviously, same thing again real quick. We'll just go ahead and get that quick time lapse, and then we'll see how much debris is actually left at the end of it here. But yeah, go ahead and back up a little bit, load the chunks up a little bit better than what they look now. Obviously, how we've been doing, and there we go. And there you have it. That is going to be the full 4 walls of missiles fired on the glass block over here, in which you can see you can definitely tell there's hardly any debris left. It didn't stop any of the missiles from actually taking out as much of that glass as possible. From there as well, you can also come down and they also, it's been quite a long day. You can also launch, obviously, the bottom row of missiles here and the top row of missiles. They've just been kind of coming along the whole time, hasn't been really doing anything. They just kind of provide defense. But we'll go ahead and reset this little piece first, coming back to the back of the machine here. Perfect, and then we'll come back to the front, grab a redstone block, and you're actually going to place it right here on this slime block. That's going to update those pistons to push the this endstone block and the redstone block into the next obvious piston there. In which, from there, what we can go ahead and do is update this sticky piston. You don't want to do it on the top; it'll just pulse it back. So we'll go ahead and update it on the side. And that's going to unlock it again, just this little middle area. Next up, what we're going to go ahead and do is come into the middle here. Just want to make sure. We're going to come into the middle and we're going to take 1 step with Galactus to launch the rest of that string of missiles. As you can see here, once the entire thing takes a step, it's going to launch off the entire row of missiles. Let the ghost blocks update here. There we go. But yeah, as you can see back here as well, though, there's going to be some legs But the back legs here, obviously there's only 4 blocks. This would be another 4 blocks here, and then the sticky piston, so giving it a total of 9. So let's say you are just walking Galactus along after you have shot off that row of missiles, then obviously this will obviously still get pushed forward. Even when this gets pulled up, it'll get pushed. That end stone block will push this entire segment forward once that piece is pushed forward as well. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing there for you, but yeah, that's already been fired. We're going to go up to the top. This is the last fireable piece of Galactus. In which, yeah, I mean, unless you get technical, and then you can like break some blocks in the back and actually fire off like segments of even like the missile launcher pieces, which is kind of funny. But yeah, no, you can come back up into the middle. Obviously, you'd have to build up from the bottom. I usually actually would use the this sea lantern as a guide, and then you'd build up from like right here with your sand or what have you all the way up to the top so you could reach these missiles. Now with redstone blocks in hand, these are the same exact missiles that were used in the middle of the regular Galactus there. It's like right in the middle of each individual one there, but coming back in, limiting that, obviously you can see in that first, the wall itself, the first wall, it's just like a flat surface, as flat as it could be, with as many little holes as possible. But that's of course to make up for that, so you don't have to continuously like jump up the middle of the machine to launch all these middle missiles. But if you do want to launch the top ones, you just come over and place a redstone block right there. You can see that update happen all the way down, pushing all these redstone blocks into place. And then all you do is just update the sticky piston. And it's going to do this kind of cool update thing since there's so many of them. The end one is actually going to fire off on its own on both sides, but the rest of them kind of update on their own and follow the same little V-shape pattern there. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and run all the way that way. But as you can see, Galactus is completely bald. Nothing left on it there. It looks like we got yeah, it's just the glass in the back. So yeah, that would be how to use Galactus Ultima, and yeah, I just hope you guys have a great time with it.
But that's going to do it for today's video, you guys. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Last week I asked everyone who has seen War of the Machines Volume 2 what their favorite part was, and I would feature my favorite response in today's video. Well, there were only a few responses, so I decided to feature all of them. And in no particular order, first up we have Gamester303, and they said, their favorite part they loved most about War of the Machines Volume 2 was the engineering that went into the fortress. That definitely took a lot of ingenuity and is crazy you were able to fit a ton of features in it and have little lag. Well, the little to zero lag is in big thanks to the replay mod for 1.11.2 and 1.12, which I definitely hope they keep updating the replay mod. I've seen that they haven't recently, but no, it definitely helps show the full movements of the robots even on kind of slower computers. I mean, I even shot War of the Machines Volume 2 on my laptop. So yeah, awesome comment. Thank you very much for your comment again there, Gamester303. I really enjoyed reading it and being able to feature it in today's video. Next up, we have MB Command Nerd, and they wrote, what I liked about War of the Machines Volume 2 was the big battle between the Flying Fortress and Galactus Ultima. You really put a lot of work into that, and I love it, Dylan. Thank you very much for that heartfelt comment, MB Command Nerd. It definitely means a lot, because yes, there was a ton of work put into not just the script and storyboard, but also the angles of the camera, what the camera would see at what time, to really paint the picture without using words, mostly. But also another awesome comment. Thank you again very much, MB Command Nerd. And last but not least, we have PikaDynamite. They wrote, my favorite part of War of the Machines Volume 2 was the battle between Galactus and the Fortress. Also love your video, Dylan, and would love if you could check out some of my slime block machine videos. Definitely, I mean, I wasn't able to find any when I visited your channel, but I'm going to go ahead and leave a link in the description to PikaDynamite's channel if anyone would also like to check them out. Their channel isn't Minecraft related, but is still definitely very fun to go through. And thank you very much, of course, there, PikaDynamite, for your support. It means a lot. In which, from there, though, yeah, I mean, that's going to do it for last week's questions. If you haven't, last week's question, sorry. If you haven't seen War of the Machines Volume 2, please go check it out. Definitely, it is my favorite video on the channel, and all of the machines and tech in the video work in vanilla Minecraft. Next week's video will mark the return of tutorials on my channel. I've been seeing a lack of tutorials for robots for the new Bedrock update for Xbox, Switch, mobile, etc. So I'll be taking 3 out of the 10 transportation-themed robots and making tutorials for them that will work on all editions of Minecraft. I repeat, all editions. So yeah, definitely make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. But if you do have a PS4 or or PC, obviously there, all of my tutorials still work on those editions, the Java edition of Minecraft. But yeah, no, thank you again to all of you guys for watching, and until the next video, you guys, later late.